Hey guys, welcome to Calm Survival. I'm Carl. Today we're going to keep talking about that rule of threes. I'm going to talk about water. Now, just got a couple of little items in front. And really what I want to cover is the big details, the big parts of the plan. Now, just to give you a bit of perspective, this pump will probably get you about a liter of water every minute. Roughly the same with this. And that's not a whole heap of work, not a whole heap of effort, but you want to keep in mind that that is provided that you have water. Now, if you're like me and you're in a semi-urban environment, the tap is probably always going to be flowing. That's not going to be the case for everybody all the time. If you're in the top of a high-rise building, you might know that the water can, you're relying on an additional set of systems to keep the water coming up to your unit. So make sure that as part of your plan, you know that you are going to have water. That's why in a lot of places, you keep water in jugs. If you don't already do that, don't rely on getting a warning. Now, as a bare minimum, 3 liters per person per day is, that'll keep you going. That's not a lot for cooking. That's pretty much nothing for hygiene. 10 per person per day, a lot more realistic. You're still going to ration your water, but you want to be thinking about more than just bare minimums. If all you have for the few days that you know your water is going to be out is just that 3 liters per day, it's not going to work out so well. Now, if we have water but we need to clean it, we've got a few different ways. Now, we can chemically treat water. It's pretty efficient. I mean, it's what your municipality does. And that's going to make it biologically safe. But maybe you're worried that there's a risk of other contamination, depending on where you live. Maybe you live near an industrial area, something like that. So we got 2 sort of ways. We can filter stuff out. Now this is a multi-stage filter, so it'll filter finer and finer particles. It won't filter viruses, and if you remember from the air episode, it's going to absorb, this has a charcoal in it, it's going to absorb some of the chemicals. Problem is, you don't really know when that's run out. So that's something to consider, but it's going to be something. This, UVC lights and elements becoming a lot more common. That's what that's going to do. So that's going to make the water biologically safe. You can do the same with a clear plastic bottle out in the sun. Look up SODIS, SODIS. It'll give you some really good guidelines for using solar radiation to sanitize water. But you want to be making sure you're thinking a little bit wider than just this. If I'm going hiking, if I'm going walking, and I know I'm going to be able to get water, cool, that might be good enough. Make sure I've got batteries, but I need batteries. I've got this, I have a gravity-fed one. But let's think about being at home. You gonna filter all your water for a shower? No. If you've ever showered somewhere where you can't drink the water, it can be a little awkward. What if you have kids? Now, you're gonna bath your kids in water, you're gonna hand pump? I don't think so. So, you need to plan a little bit farther out and just think through the steps. Think of all the uses that you're going to need to go through. But again, that's if water's coming from the taps. I live right next to a river. Problem is, it's tidal, it's salt. And distilling water is very, very fuel inefficient. So it's not really part of my plan. Rainwater is pretty unreliable. So we've got some water in jugs. The reality is that in a disaster big enough where we lose water supply, it's going to be bad enough for enough people that we're going to cover ourselves for the few days we need while we make a backup plan, while the water gets brought in. You can pretty much rely on that for most of the cases. We get hurricanes through here. We might lose water or be under a boil water advisory for a few days, but we can handle that. Your situation might be different. If you live in a major earthquake zone, you might be without water for a couple of weeks while pipes get rebuilt. Again, can you get to a depot? Can you get water jugs filled up? Probably. But do you have the water jugs? Don't be buying water jugs the day you need them. Even if you don't have them full, have an 80, 90, 100 liters worth of capacity, things that you can fill with water that you can keep in the, put in the back of your car and drive to get water. That's going to be an advantage. When we ran out of water up here in the grocery stores, all the hardware and camping stores still had big water drums sitting on the shelves. Same price. You're just buying a water bottle. Whether you buy it pre-filled or not, it's up to you. So, obviously, you can't just put water in a jug and leave it. You got to refresh it. You got to keep dumping it out. But, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that hard to have part of your plan. And that water is just going to be a little stale smelling. It doesn't really, it's probably not going to have anything growing in it that's going to be dangerous. You'll be fine. But don't just go with, something like that and think that, I've solved my water. You got to think the entire logistics chain through. All these water filters aren't going to do me any good if the only source I have is the river that's down the street, because you can't filter the salt out. And I just don't have the energy resources to do anything other than that. Yeah, I know you can do reverse osmosis and you can do distillation. They are very energy intense. Energy's not free. You got to think about that. Okay? Doesn't matter how you're spending it. It's not free. But a little bit of a primer on water and some things to think about. And in all cases, when it comes to water, whatever your local government body is, follow their guidelines for disinfecting it before use. They do know what's gone into the water. They do know what things you need to be watching out for. So they may be giving you slightly different guidelines depending on where you are. There's a lot to go into, but for now, I think that's a pretty good start. So stay safe out there, guys. This has been Calm Survival. I'll see you next time.